At 62, I thought I had seen enough of life to know what to expect. I was wrong. The moment my son-in-law's fist connected with my face, everything I'd believed about family shattered. 1 second I was standing in my doorway, refusing to let them stay. The next I was stumbling backwards, tasting blood. "Dad, please," my daughter Leah whispered behind him, her voice trembling. 3 hours earlier they had arrived looking like strangers who had lost everything. Leah's hair was messy, her eyes sunken. Henry paced like a caged animal. I let them in, expecting bad news, but not this. 2 weeks ago they sold their house, not just any house, their home, the one I helped them buy, the one filled with memories. "Henry has a business opportunity," Leah said, trying to sound confident. "Digital marketing, big investors." But the money, $500,000, was gone, just like that. Henry brushed it off like it was nothing. "It's temporary," he insisted, throwing around complicated business terms. Temporary? $500,000. Then came the request. "We just need a place to stay," Leah begged. I looked at her, really looked. She wasn't just stressed, she was worn down. Something wasn't right. "I love you," I said carefully, "but I can't support this." That's when Henry changed. The polite tone vanished, his eyes hardened, his voice rose. He accused me of being small-minded, afraid of risks, jealous even. Then I said one word: "No." That was enough. The punch came instantly. After they left, I stood there in silence, holding my bleeding nose, but the pain wasn't just physical. It was the realization something much deeper was wrong. So I called the one man I trusted, my lawyer, Robert. When he answered, I didn't even try to hide the shake in my voice. "Robert, I need your help." There was a pause. Then he said something that made my stomach drop. "Come to my office immediately. There are things about Henry you need to know." As I grabbed my keys, one thought kept echoing in my mind. What if that punch wasn't the worst thing he was capable of? I thought I was dealing with a bad decision. I had no idea I was dealing with something far more dangerous.
Robert didn't waste time. The moment I sat down, he opened a thick file and slid a photograph across the desk. It was Henry, but not the Henry I knew. He was younger, sharper, standing beside a wealthy older woman I had never seen before. "That's Margaret," Robert said. "She died last year." My chest tightened. 6 months before her death, he continued, she transferred most of her wealth to Henry. Another photo, another woman, then another. Each one different, but the story was the same. Henry entered their lives, gained trust, convinced them to invest, and left them with nothing. My stomach churned. "This isn't his real name," Robert added quietly. "He's been using aliases for years." Aliases, different identities, different victims. And suddenly it all made sense. The charm, the urgency, the opportunities. "But Leah," I whispered, "why is he still with her?" Robert leaned forward. "Because your daughter isn't the final target." Silence filled the room. Then he said it. "You are." The words hit harder than the punch. Henry had been asking about inheritance laws, about wills, about what happens when someone dies. Not casually, strategically. My hands started to shake. "You're saying," I struggled to finish. "I'm saying," Robert said carefully, had in every previous case. Once the money was gone, the relationship ended. But this time it hasn't. Because there was more money left. Mine. And suddenly every small detail came flooding back. Henry asking about my health, my medication, even joking about not knowing how long we've got. It wasn't casual, it was calculated. We need to act now, Robert said, restraining order, immediate. I stared at the documents in front of me. If I signed them, I wasn't just protecting myself, I was drawing a line against my own daughter. And yet doing nothing suddenly felt far more dangerous. Because one truth was becoming impossible to ignore. Henry hadn't just entered our lives by chance. He had planned this. For years. But what Robert showed me next proved this wasn't just manipulation, it was something far more sinister.
I thought we were catching this early. I was wrong. Robert's investigator, Marcus, laid out the evidence, and each piece felt like another blow. A loan application, $75,000, using my house as collateral. My signature was on it, except I had never signed anything. "It's forged," I said immediately. Marcus nodded, and a very good one. The loan had already been approved. The money, gone, transferred offshore. Then came another document, power of attorney. Apparently, I had granted Leah control over my finances. And another, medical records claiming I was showing signs of dementia. I felt sick. They weren't just stealing from me, they were building a case to control me completely. "If they prove you're mentally incompetent," Robert explained, "Leah becomes your legal guardian. And Henry gets access to everything," Marcus added. It was brilliant, twisted, but brilliant. But then came the worst part. Henry had applied for a life insurance policy on me. That's when it clicked. This wasn't just about money anymore. This was about removing obstacles. And I was the final one. My mind raced back over recent months, the dinners they brought, the drinks, the moments I felt strangely tired, foggy. "Have they ever given you anything to eat or drink?" Marcus asked. My silence was answer enough. Later that day, tests confirmed it. I had been drugged. Small doses, enough to confuse me, but not enough to raise suspicion. The realization hit like ice in my veins. Henry hadn't just planned to take my money. He had been preparing to erase me. As I drove home, something inside me shifted. Fear turned into clarity, then into something colder. Anger. But when I pulled into my driveway, I saw Leah sitting on the steps, crying, broken, and for a moment I saw my little girl again. But I also knew something else now. She might not just be a victim. She might already be part of the plan. What she said next would force me to make the hardest decision of my life. Leah looked at me like she was desperate for help, but something felt off, rehearsed. I decided to test the truth. "Tell me about the loan," I said. Her face went pale. "What loan?" That was all I needed. She didn't know, or she was pretending not to. Either way, Henry had full control. When I showed her the evidence, she didn't break. She defended him, even after everything. He didn't steal anything, she insisted. That's when I asked the question I never thought I would ask my own daughter. Have you been putting anything in my food? She hesitated. That hesitation said everything. Henry said it would help you, she whispered. My heart broke. She thought she was helping me, but she had been helping him destroy me. Even then, I tried one last time. Leah, he's using you. But she shook her head, and then she said the words that ended everything. If I have to choose, I choose Henry. Silence. Just like that, my daughter was gone. Not physically, but mentally, emotionally, gone. That's when I made my decision. I'm changing my will, I said, calmly. Everything would go elsewhere. No more enabling, no more second chances. Her reaction was instant, rage, disbelief, and then threats, legal threats. As she walked away, I realized something brutal. This wasn't over. Henry wasn't finished, and now he had my daughter on his side. Within days, I would realize that Henry's next move wasn't just legal, it was psychological warfare. The attack didn't come with fists this time. It came with paperwork. A petition claiming I was mentally unfit, fake medical records, witness statements, all lies, but convincing ones. Then the rumors started, neighbors whispering, friends acting distant, even my granddaughter calling, unsure of who to believe. Henry wasn't just stealing money, he was destroying my identity, my reputation, my reality. But I refused to stay silent, so I did something unexpected. I went public. The story hit the local news, and everything changed. Other victims came forward, evidence piled up, and finally authorities stepped in. A warrant was issued, but Henry ran, just like before, and Leah, she went with him. Weeks later, I got news. He had abandoned her, left her with nothing, exactly like all the others. Months passed, then one day I received a letter from Leah. No excuses, no requests, just one thing. I know the truth now. I read it and put it away. Some damage doesn't heal with apologies. A year later, Henry was caught, finally. And as for me, I didn't get all my money back, but I got something better, peace. Because in the end, I learned something most people never do. Sometimes the hardest thing isn't losing someone, it's choosing not to save them. And if I had said yes that day instead of no, I might not be here to tell this story at all.
Before you go, if you think this story was shocking, you need to watch this next one, because what happened there was even more unbelievable. Tap the video on your screen right now.